Hello and welcome to Research Bunny, your trusted companion in exploring groundbreaking research and diving into the science that shapes our world. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Let's embark on a journey of discovery, where we take complex academic studies and transform them into approachable, engaging stories that resonate with your everyday life. Here's a thought to kick things off. How often do we hear about the importance of physical activity, only to tuck those reminders away in the back of our minds? We know it's good for us, yet the global rates of physical inactivity remain astonishingly high. Despite all the advancements in our understanding of health, getting people to move more remains one of the biggest public health challenges of our time. But what if we could harness insights from data and blend that with financial incentives to nudge people, working adults, older individuals, toward achieving their daily goals? And what if we could take something as ubiquitous as hourly step counts and use them to reimagine personalized strategies that make staying active more achievable for everyone? Today, we're diving into an insightful piece of research titled Hourly Step Recommendations to Achieve Daily Goals for Working and Older Adults. This study was spearheaded by Gregory and Chuen, along with a talented team of co-authors whose expertise spans public health, digital health, and statistics. The study combines the art of data science with the pragmatic lens of public health, a compelling intersection of disciplines that holds incredible promise. The work was published in the Communications Medicine Journal and delivers a powerful narrative about how data-driven insights can help populations adopt healthier lifestyles. It's an endeavor that's as meticulous as it is meaningful, rooted in real-world applicability. Now, why is this study significant? For one, it tackles a pressing issue head-on: the global struggle with physical inactivity. Physical inactivity, as we know, is linked to a raft of chronic diseases, from type 2 diabetes to stroke. Reducing these risks by increasing physical activity isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. But achieving this vision isn't easy. Past research has extensively documented the positive health impacts of moving more, yet many traditional interventions fall short of making a long-term impact. This study stands out because it examines activity patterns not just broadly, but at the micro level, drilling down to hourly step data. It allows us to see not just how much people walk, but when they walk, shedding light on what times of the day hold the most promise for behavior change. And here's where this work becomes even more intriguing. It integrates wearable technology and financial incentives into the equation. Think of it as a nudge economy, supercharged by smart tech. Wearables like fitness trackers are everywhere on our wrists, clipped to our clothes, seamlessly blending into our daily lives. They collect high-resolution data like hourly step counts, which can help craft personalized recommendations. Add to that the layer of financial incentives, and you have a compelling motivation: reach your step goals, earn rewards. It's not just about accumulating points, it's a behavioral design approach, making the healthy choice the easy choice. This study leverages that unique combination to explore how individuals accumulate steps throughout the day, and most importantly, how personalized, time-specific recommendations can help them achieve their goals. The researchers used a particularly fascinating real-world dataset, the National Steps Challenge Season 3, conducted in Singapore. Now, in case you're wondering, the National Steps Challenge isn't just your run-of-the-mill fitness campaign. It's a large-scale, incentivized program designed to gamify physical activity. Participants earn health points, which are redeemable for cash vouchers, by hitting predefined step milestones: 5,000 steps for the day, 7,500 steps, 10,000 steps. The challenge not only encouraged physical activity, but also generated a wealth of data, making it a goldmine of information for researchers to analyze intraday activity patterns in a way that few studies worldwide have achieved thus far. And let's not forget the broader context tied to this. Traditional studies often look at physical activity as a sum total, how many steps or hours of movement someone accumulates over an entire day or week. But this study breaks that mold, zooming in on hourly patterns. Why does that matter, you ask? Because it answers critical questions that daily averages can't. What times of day are people most physically active? Are there specific moments when a small nudge could have the highest impact on someone's progress toward their goals? By addressing these nuances, the study paves the way for developing interventions that are grounded in behavioral science and tailored to real-life routines. The study builds on a rich foundation of literature. As established in earlier research, physical activity doesn't just lower the risk of chronic diseases, it boosts mental health, improves sleep, and enhances overall quality of life. Financial incentives, as documented by numerous studies, amplify this motivation. There's that feel-good dopamine hit from walking more, and there's also the added benefit of being tangibly rewarded for it. Then there's the game-changing role of wearables, transforming health monitoring into something as simple as glancing at your wrist. Yet, despite all this, one glaring gap in the current literature remains: how do these incentive-based models actually influence behavior within a day, at the intraday level? Most studies to date have either focused on aggregate data or conducted experiments in controlled settings, which rarely account for the messiness of real-world behaviors. This is where today's study makes its mark. It fills that gap by meticulously analyzing hourly step data collected in an organic, real-world setting. It not only tackles questions of when, where, and how people are likely to move, but goes a step further, intended to consider how demographic factors like age, sex, and body mass index (BMI) influence physical activity patterns. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's granular, scalable, and above all, actionable science. With rising healthcare costs and the increasing burden of sedentary lifestyles, this study couldn't come at a more crucial time. It blends rigorous statistical modeling with practical goals, leaning on the strength of Bayesian inference methods to make sense of complex, high-resolution data. In doing so, it offers policymakers, health organizations, and even tech developers an invaluable set of insights to craft better interventions, not just broadly, but tailored to the unique routines and challenges of different population groups. All right, let's pause here for a bit. We'll be right back after a short break to unpack the methodology and key insights from this research. Trust us, you won't want to miss this. All right, let's dive into the fascinating depths of today's research. The study, which utilized data from the National Steps Challenge Season 3, or NSC3, brings a unique and insightful approach to understanding how people accumulate steps throughout the day in an incentivized setting. Now, this isn't just about walking more. It's about pinpointing how behavior changes in response to rewards and how that knowledge can be harnessed for better health outcomes. To begin with, let's set the context. Imagine those New Year's resolutions we often set to walk 10,000 steps a day, for example. Sounds straightforward, right? But here's the twist. Most of us don't have a well-structured plan for how to achieve those steps. Do you pack most of them into your morning routine, scatter them across the day, or do you rely entirely on an after-dinner stroll? The beauty of this study is that it captures detailed, hour-by-hour step data from more than 3,000 participants to answer a critical question: how can we achieve daily activity goals more strategically? Let's unpack how this was done. The researchers used wearable technology, which is basically those fitness trackers many of us wear around our wrists. These devices act as tiny, always-on scientists, collecting high-resolution step count data every hour. The researchers sifted through this enormous data set by using statistical models to examine patterns, taking into account different variables like age, gender, body mass index (BMI), and even whether it was a weekday or weekend. And here's where the story starts getting interesting. The goal wasn't just to observe behavior, but to extract actionable recommendations, things you or I could do to meet our daily step targets with greater ease. One of the key insights revolved around the power of financial incentives. You've probably heard the age-old argument that money can't buy health, but what if it could nudge you to take more steps? In the study, participants earned health points, which could ultimately be exchanged for cash vouchers by reaching specific daily step benchmarks: 5,000 steps, 7,500 steps, and 10,000 steps. Now think about that for a moment. Most of us are incredibly motivated by tangible rewards, and this program harnessed that psychology brilliantly. Sure enough, the researchers found pronounced peaks in step activity right around these thresholds. It's as though the participants were sprinting toward their goals the way a runner pushes toward the finish line. But what's even more fascinating is how this behavior played out across different parts of the day. For weekdays, step counts soared in the morning during commuting hours, dipped during mid-morning, peaked again at lunch, and then climbed steadily in the evening. It makes sense, doesn't it? Mornings are hectic for most of us. We're running to catch buses, climbing stairs in office buildings, or pacing around while juggling coffee cups. And lunchtime? Well, that's your chance to stretch those legs after a morning glued to your desk. Evening hours obviously present another opportunity, perhaps for leisure walks or gym sessions. Now, weekends told a slightly different story. Here, step patterns were more relaxed, with later peaks and lower overall activity. This doesn't come as a surprise. The weekend vibe is all about slowing down, sleeping in, and letting the body rest. Still, many participants managed to hit their step goals in a much more spread out, less crammed way as compared to weekdays. What this highlights is that the context of the day drastically shapes how we move. As we dig deeper, let's consider the roles of demographics in step activity. Elderly participants, for instance, showed a surprising level of engagement. In fact, individuals aged 60 and above recorded higher hourly step counts than younger participants, particularly until 6 p.m. on weekdays. This finding challenges the stereotype that older adults are less active. Perhaps it's because retirees have more flexibility in their schedules, or because they prioritize health and activity more than younger adults. Whatever the reason, this data underscores a crucial point. Everyone, regardless of age, can find their rhythm to stay active. And speaking of rhythms, the researchers identified something pivotal. They discovered that accumulating at least 7,000 steps by 7 p.m. is strongly associated with hitting the coveted 10,000 step goal by the end of the day. Think about that for a second. It's like having a roadmap. Reach this milestone by early evening, and you'll make it to your destination. This begs the question, how can we nudge more people to reach that critical checkpoint earlier in the evening? A timely reminder from your smartwatch at 6 p.m., perhaps? This is precisely where personalized, tech-based interventions come into play. Now, raising step counts is one thing, but the practical recommendations shared from this study take it a notch higher. The researchers provided age and BMI-specific guidance on step allocation throughout the day. For instance, adults aged 30 to 39 needed to put in a bit more effort by 10 p.m. to hit their targets compared to older participants. Or, for individuals with normal BMI versus those classified as obese, the number of required steps to achieve the same goal varied notably. This insight is incredibly powerful because it opens the door to tailoring activity plans to each individual's unique profile. If we know a specific group requires extra motivation or targeted interventions at specific times, our ability to design effective health programs skyrockets. But let's pause here and connect the dots. The heart of this study revolves around not just activity, but strategy. It's about weaving physical movement seamlessly into daily life, rather than treating it as an afterthought. The peaks in step activity, whether during commutes or lunch breaks, show how habits and routines interplay with physical activity. And this ties back to the idea of rewards. When people know they're working toward a financially tangible prize, it amplifies their efforts. Incentivized programs like this one marry motivation with structure, offering participants clear milestones to achieve throughout the day. This is also a compelling argument for using real-world large-scale data rather than clinical trial environments to study behavior. After all, humans behave differently when they're not being closely monitored in controlled settings. The ability to analyze step activity hour by hour in the messy, unpredictable context of daily life presents a much more realistic picture of how people move, and crucially, how they respond to rewards. Now, let's zoom back out and ask, what does all this mean for the future of health interventions? The findings suggest that real-time nudges could play a pivotal role in helping people meet these interim benchmarks. Imagine receiving a notification that says, You're 2,000 steps away from earning your incentive. How about a short evening walk? Couple this with demographic-tailored advice, and the effectiveness could be groundbreaking. There's also something profoundly human in all of this. In a way, this study reflects how adaptable we are, how subtle incentives and well-timed interventions can shape our behaviors. And it doesn't stop at just health trackers. Think about workplaces encouraging short walking breaks by offering small rewards, or schools gamifying step goals for kids. The potential to integrate these ideas into wider social or institutional settings is enormous. All right, let's take a short break here. When we return, I'll walk you through how these findings connect to designing personalized interventions and what that means for promoting health more effectively. Stay with us. All right, let's wrap up everything we've explored so far. This research takes a significant step towards understanding how personalized, data-driven approaches can encourage physical activity in our increasingly sedentary world. By analyzing the hourly step count patterns of participants in a large-scale incentivized physical activity program, this study reveals how targeted strategies can help individuals achieve their daily movement goals. The hourly recommendations provided, tailored by demographic attributes, underscore the potential for more customized, actionable insights, a direction that has substantial implications for public health interventions. What's particularly impactful is the identification of key behavioral patterns, like the strong link between hitting 7,000 steps by 7 p.m. and achieving the coveted 10,000-step milestone. This highlights the importance of timing when it comes to interventions and nudges. For example, evening prompts delivered through wearable devices could effectively nudge people to make up for any step deficits before the day ends. These findings pave the way for more finely tuned recommendations that consider factors like age, BMI, and day-to-day routines, components that could meaningfully boost the effectiveness of physical activity initiatives. The implications of this research stretch far beyond just one program or population. The ability to design interventions based on when individuals are most likely to move, combined with the use of wearable technology, holds promise not just for population health efforts, but also for everyday users looking to stay more active. As wearable devices become increasingly integrated into our lives, these insights will likely grow in relevance, with making personalization a cornerstone of health promotion strategies. So what does this mean for you? How can you take these findings and apply them to your life? It's an open question, but it suggests a new way of thinking about your own activity, breaking it down into manageable intervals and focusing on small, achievable milestones throughout the day. Could this be the key to finally meeting those step goals you've been eyeing? Something to ponder. For a closer look at the detailed research and findings discussed today, check out the complete paper on the Research Bunny app. With Research Bunny, you'll always have access to cutting-edge research at your fingertips. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget, Research Bunny is here to make academic research more accessible, one paper at a time. Take care, and until next time, stay curious and keep moving.